The colony had never looked so broken. Dust and smoke clung to the jagged edges of collapsed buildings, and distant explosions painted the sky in harsh orange streaks. Alex Mercer ducked behind the remains of what had once been a storage container, scanning the horizon. His hands were greasy, and the metallic tang of blood lingered in the air, but he didn't notice. He only noticed the quiet hum of a damaged energy shield, the faint groans of twisted metal, and the sound of someone moving nearby. Someone human, but in trouble. He moved faster, his boots kicking up ash and debris. There she was, Rin-Tal, her armor scorched, plates hanging loose, sparks flickering along her shoulder. She was dragging herself toward the colony wall, limping but refusing to fall. Alex's chest tightened. Rin was legendary, the kind of soldier people whispered about in awe. But even legends bled and broke when no one was looking. He sprinted the last few meters and slid to a stop beside her. "Rin," he said, voice low but firm.
"You can't move like that. Let me help."
Her head snapped toward him, dark eyes sharp and wild. "I don't need help," she growled, her voice rough with pain. Her armor clanged as she tried to adjust it, but one leg of her exosuit had completely failed. Sparks shot from a cracked servo motor near her shoulder, and she winced. Alex didn't answer. He knelt beside her and reached for the armor plate.
"You're going to collapse if you keep moving like this. Just let me fix it."
Her eyes narrowed, suspicion and pride wrestling across her face. "Touch me, and I'll kick you into the next sector." He gave her a small, calm smile, trying not to sound frustrated. Better than letting those scouts finish the job. The moment hung in the air like charged static. She didn't speak, but her movement slowed just enough for him to work. He peeled the damaged plate from her chest. The metal warped and blackened from plasma burns. As he worked, he noticed the way her muscles tensed, not just from pain, but from the need to remain in control. He gritted his teeth and continued, his fingers brushing her arm as he fitted a replacement servo into place. Rin flinched slightly, and her voice was low, almost dangerous. "Don't pretend that touch meant nothing." Alex froze for a heartbeat. Her words were rough, jagged, like shattered glass, but there was something behind them, something unspoken. He shook it off and focused on the armor. "It didn't mean nothing," he muttered, though the words were more to himself than her. The repair was slow. Each plate had to be aligned perfectly. Each servo had to be calibrated, or she could fall in a firefight. All around them, the sounds of alien scouts patrolling the colony echoed. Alex's eyes flicked toward every shadow, every moving shape, but he stayed focused on Rin. When he finally finished, he stepped back and tested the armor's movement. Rin flexed, then swung her arm, and the servos responded smoothly. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she looked at him, her jaw tight, and then stalked off a few steps before stopping. "I'm fine," she said, voice clipped, though there was a flicker of acknowledgement in her eyes. "I can move on my own." Words wouldn't matter now. Instead, he watched as she limped toward the remaining barricade, scanning for threats. He followed, keeping a careful distance. Humans might be strong, but aliens were relentless. The sky flared with another distant explosion, and the ground shook beneath their feet. A drone, sleek and black, shot past them, scanning for life signs. Rin's instincts kicked in immediately. She ducked behind debris, crouched low, and readied her pulse rifle. Alex crouched beside her, heart pounding.
"They're fast," he said. "We need to move before more arrive."
Rin's eyes softened for a fraction of a second, just enough for him to notice. Then they hardened again, and she pushed off the wall. "Follow me, if you want to live." Together, they sprinted through the ruined streets, dodging the alien patrols. Alex marveled at Rin's agility. Even with one servo compromised, she moved like water, fluid and controlled. Always calculating, always ready. He was impressed, but more than that, He felt a strange, protective pull. Humans were fragile, and she was human, despite everything she made people believe. They reached a narrow alley that offered temporary cover. Rin pressed her back against the wall, breathing heavily, eyes scanning. "Why do you follow me?" she asked, voice sharp, almost teasing. Alex shook his head. "Because if I don't, someone else will have to pick you up later, and I'm not sure they'd do it."
You're stubborn. Not stubborn, Alex said. Practical. For a moment, they just stood there, the tension between them thick and heavy.
Alex could see the fatigue etched on her face, the strain of constant vigilance, and the pride that kept her from asking for help. She was a soldier, yes, but she was also human, and humans had limits. "All right," Rin said finally, her voice low but steady. "We move in 5. She scanned the alley one last time, then gestured for him to follow. "Stay close, don't get distracted." Each step was a calculated risk, every corner potentially hiding death. The alien drones were relentless, their scanning sensors cutting through the smoke and debris like knives. Alex kept checking Rin, noting every limp, every micro-adjustment she made to her repaired armor. His hands itched to fix the next flaw, to smooth the next jagged edge, but he stayed silent. She had to move on her own terms.
A sudden flash of light caught Alex's eye.
A drone had spotted movement. He yanked Rin down, just in time as a pulse beam shot past where she had been standing moments before. She growled, quickly spinning to return fire, her movements precise, deadly. Alex ducked behind a crate, heart hammering. He wasn't as skilled in direct combat, but he knew his engineering could give humans an edge. Pulling a small device from his pack, he quickly hacked the drone's signal, causing it to short-circuit and crash into the rubble. Rin's eyes flicked to him, surprise flashing briefly, then she smirked. "You're full of surprises," she muttered, ducking another beam. Alex shrugged. Practicality. The moment was fleeting. More drones appeared, faster, smarter. They forced the two of them to run again, back through twisting alleys, over crumbling walls, and across makeshift bridges of debris. Each time, Alex's repairs and quick thinking kept them alive, his hands adjusting, recalibrating, improvising solutions to keep Rin moving. Finally, they reached a damaged supply building, partially shielded by collapsed walls and burning wreckage. Rin pressed herself against the metal door, breathing hard, eyes alert. She looked at Alex, her expression unreadable, yet softer than before.
You saved me,
she said quietly, almost to herself. Alex raised an eyebrow.
I did my job. She glared at him, but the tension had shifted. Something unspoken hung in the space between them. A quiet acknowledgement, a fragile connection forged in fire, fear, and the necessity of survival.
Rin! Adjusted her armor. The servo's humming smoothly now. "Don't expect me to say thanks," she said, her voice low but steady. Alex smiled faintly. "I wouldn't dream of it." They didn't speak for a while, both listening to the distant echoes of destruction. Humans were supposed to be fragile. They were supposed to bend under pressure, but here they were. Two people, battered, bruised, and running through a broken world, surviving because of each other, because of ingenuity, because of grit. Rin finally broke the silence. "I hate this. I hate relying on anyone." "Then don't. Just accept that sometimes even the strongest need a little help." She didn't reply, only looked away, scanning the skyline. But her stance was less rigid, her movements slightly less guarded. He noted it, quietly, without comment. Outside, the colony burned. Alien scouts roamed, and humanity's edges were pushed to the limit. But inside that ruined building, something unspoken had shifted. Trust? Maybe. Recognition? Definitely. And a quiet acknowledgement that sometimes survival wasn't about armor, weapons, or skill. It was about connection. Even if unspoken. Even if grudgingly accepted. Alex and Rin stayed there for a long moment, waiting, breathing, planning their next move. Somewhere beyond the rubble, more enemies waited. But here, now, they were together. And in a galaxy that often demanded humans bend, break, or vanish, Alex and Rin were proving something else entirely. Humans could survive. Humans could adapt. And humans, sometimes, could touch in more ways than one. And it mattered. The next day, the colony looked like a war zone from above. Smoke still rose in thin spirals from collapsed buildings, and the air had a constant metallic tang. Yet, within the surviving sector, humans moved with determination, repairing walls, salvaging equipment, and preparing for the next attack. Alex Mercer followed Rintal through narrow corridors of the partially fortified command center, careful to keep pace with her brisk, deliberate steps. She led, as always. But he noticed a subtle shift in her posture, a quiet acknowledgement of his presence, though she would never admit it aloud. Rin stopped at a workbench cluttered with mechanical components and data pads.
"We need to analyze what happened yesterday," she said, her voice low but firm. "The aliens knew exactly where to hit."
"Someone is feeding them our movements." Alex nodded, kneeling beside the scattered parts.
Could be a spy, could be a tracker in their fleet. Either way, humans still have one advantage. They expect us to react predictably. We don't have to. She raised an eyebrow, her skepticism obvious. And what advantage is that? The advantage is that we think differently, Alex said, holding up a small sensor array he had scavenged. We improvise. We adapt. We don't rely on brute strength or advanced alien tech. We're humans. We survive because we think faster, adjust faster, and take risks they wouldn't expect. Rin studied him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she finally said, "You talk a lot about humans being smart. Prove it." Alex grinned, and for the first time that morning, Rin allowed herself a small smirk.
Gladly. He moved to the data pad and began analyzing the battle footage from the colony's defensive cameras.
Alien scouts had been precise, almost surgical in their attacks. Every move, every escape route had been anticipated. But there were gaps, tiny, almost imperceptible flaws in their patrol patterns. Alex highlighted them one by one, pointing out how a human could use the shadows, broken walls and rubble to stay unseen, move faster, and set traps. Rin leaned over his shoulder, watching intently. "You really think we can turn this around?" she asked, voice quieter than before. Alex didn't hesitate.
"I know we can."
Humans have survived worse than these aliens. We just need to exploit what makes us human. Her eyes met his, searching for some hidden meaning, some trick. She found none, just confidence. And for a brief moment, Rin felt something unfamiliar. Hope. Later, they moved through the repair bays, where engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to restore damaged armor, weapons, and drones. Rin's armor was now fully functional, shining and calibrated, though the dents and scorch marks had been left as reminders of yesterday's battle. She flexed her arms and shoulders, testing every movement. "I can fight again," she said simply. Alex watched her closely. "You've been through worse than this," he said quietly. "You'll be fine." She gave him a glance, one eyebrow raised. "You really care, don't you?"
"I care about humans surviving. That includes you."
Rin didn't respond, but the corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. She moved on, leading Alex to a room filled with monitors and tactical displays. The walls were lined with maps of the surrounding sectors, with blinking red dots marking alien patrols. "We need to strike before they strike again," Rin said. Her hand hovered over the display, tracing potential attack routes. "If we can disable their command ship in orbit, we might be able to slow them down." Alex studied the plan. "Risky," he said, pointing to the path through a heavily patrolled asteroid field. "But possible. Humans are small, quick, and clever. If we improvise, we can make it through. Rin's expression softened slightly. I like your confidence, but you'd better not get us killed. I never do, Alex said, though his fingers tightened around the edge of the table. He was well aware that mistakes could mean death, not just for him, but for the people depending on them. The next hours were a blur of preparation. They gathered supplies, reinforced weapons, and tested armor. Alex found himself checking Rin's armor repeatedly, making subtle adjustments to servos and joints, ensuring she could move without hindrance. Each time his hand brushed hers, Rin stiffened, but she didn't pull away entirely. You're meticulous, she said finally, her voice low, almost accusatory. I didn't ask for this. I know, he said softly, but I'm not doing this for you.
I'm doing it for everyone else, and if I can help you survive...
Well, that's a bonus. Rin didn't respond, but there was a quiet acknowledgement in her eyes. Something had shifted between them since the battle. Something that wasn't words, but a recognition of trust, of reliance, and perhaps respect. By nightfall, the colony had settled into an uneasy silence. Fires burned in controlled areas, and human patrols moved cautiously through the streets. Rin and Alex sat side by side on a low wall, looking out at the stars. The night was calm, but tension lingered, like the calm before a storm. You think we'll ever get a break? Rin asked quietly. Alex shook his head. Not in this sector, not while they're out there. But humans survive. We find ways. That's what we do. Rin was silent for a moment, then said, You know, people underestimate us. They look at our tech and think we're weak, but we're unpredictable. That's our edge, Alex smiled. Exactly. Humans are messy, resourceful, and stubborn, and that's why we win. Boom. The conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed across the colony, and automated speakers warned of an incoming reconnaissance squad. Rin's instincts kicked in instantly. She grabbed her rifle, moving to intercept, while Alex pulled out a small device from his pack. This way, he said, leading her to a hidden route through the supply tunnels. The aliens were fast, but humans were faster, and Alex's knowledge of the colony's hidden passages gave them an edge. They emerged behind the recon squad, and Rin moved with deadly precision, taking out alien scouts before they could react. Alex monitored energy signatures, rerouting power to traps he had rigged in advance. Every move relied on human ingenuity rather than brute strength. When the last drone fell, Rin exhaled sharply, checking her ammo. Not bad, she said, almost a compliment. Alex shrugged, brushing dirt from his hands. Humans have survived worse. They didn't speak for a moment, listening to the quiet hum of the colony. It was a fragile peace, but it was enough to remind them that survival often came from intelligence, teamwork, and persistence. Later, Rin finally broke the silence. You've done a lot for me, she said quietly. More than I usually let anyone do.
Alex looked at her, studying her face. I don't do it for recognition.
I do it because it matters. Every human we save is another chance to survive, to fight another day. She nodded slowly, and for the first time her armor felt less like a shield and more like a symbol of trust. Trust in others, trust in humans, trust in ingenuity over sheer power. As they watched the stars, the colony resting beneath them, Alex realized that the fight wasn't just against the aliens. It was against the odds themselves, against the expectation that humans were fragile, replaceable, or predictable. And every day they survived, every plan they improvised, every touch of trust between people like him and Rin was a small victory in itself. Tomorrow, Rin said finally, voice steady, we take the fight to them. We hit the command ship. Alex nodded. We'll be ready. Humans always are. Rin glanced at him, and for a moment, the tension between them was gone, replaced with understanding. She didn't speak the words she felt, but they didn't need to be said. Humans survived because they adapted. They survived because they worked together. They survived because they refused to break. And Alex and Rin, in the heart of the broken colony, were living proof. The night stretched on, stars shimmering like distant fires. Tomorrow would bring new danger, new challenges, and new opportunities. But for now, in the quiet aftermath of the first victory, humans were alive. And that was everything. The alien ship hung in orbit above the desolate planet like a jagged shadow against the black sky. Its surface shimmered with energy, lines of alien technology pulsing in patterns that no human mind could naturally comprehend. Yet Alex Mercer stared at it with a mix of awe and determination.
"This is it," he said, voice low. "The command ship."
If we disable it, we slow their entire operation. Rintal didn't speak immediately. She studied the ship, her dark eyes reflecting the pulsing lights. "It's bigger than I expected," she said finally. "And deadlier. Any mistake here, and we're finished."
Not if we plan carefully and stay unpredictable.
Remember, humans survive because we adapt. That's what they don't expect. Rin's lips twitched, almost a smile. "You really love repeating that line, don't you?" "I live it," Alex said, with a small grin, "and you'll see why." They boarded their small assault craft, its hull battered but functional. Inside, the cabin smelled of metal and recycled air, instruments humming softly. Rin strapped herself in, checking her weapons and armor, while Alex ran final diagnostics on their navigation system. "You really trust me to get us through this?" Rin asked, not looking at him. Alex glanced at her, his expression calm. "I trust humans. That includes you." She didn't reply, only exhaled sharply and focused on the mission ahead. The ship shuddered as they entered the orbiting alien vessel's outer defenses. Energy pulses flashed along the hull, automated sentries scanning for intruders. Alex guided them through blind spots, using the human understanding of unpredictability to avoid detection. As they neared an access point, a sudden pulse of alien energy swept the corridor, forcing them to duck. Rin rolled instinctively, her armor absorbing the brunt of the shock. Alex's fingers flew over the control panel, rerouting their shields just in time. "Close," Rin muttered, wiping sweat from her brow. "Too close. Nothing we can't handle," Alex replied, though his heart pounded. Every second inside the ship brought new dangers, and every pulse of alien energy reminded him of how fragile humans were compared to this technology. Yet humans thrived in adversity. That was the edge. That was hope. Inside the ship, the corridors were narrow, glowing with an eerie light. Alien glyphs ran along the walls, pulsing with energy that made Alex's fingers tingle when he brushed past. He made notes for later analysis. Any insight into alien engineering could be used against them. Rin moved ahead, her rifle raised, scanning every shadow. Alex followed, repairing minor systems on the go, ventilation controls, security nodes, and energy conduits. Each touch was careful, precise. Each glance toward Rin reminded him of the trust they had built. Fragile, but real. A sudden alarm sounded. Alien sentries materialized from the walls, sleek and deadly. Rin's pulse rifle flared, taking down the first two with precise shots. Alex activated a small device, releasing a pulse that short-circuited the next wave.
"You're full of surprises," Rin said, firing at another sentry.
"Practicality," Alex corrected, his hands moving quickly to disable a security panel. They pressed on, deeper into the ship. The corridors twisted and turned, gravity fluctuating unpredictably. Rin's armor adjusted, but even she struggled to maintain balance as the ship's artificial gravity shifted. Alex grabbed her arm to steady her once, and she didn't pull away immediately. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Don't get used to touching me," she said. but her eyes betrayed a flicker of acknowledgement. "I wouldn't dream of it," Alex replied softly, though his heart thumped at the closeness. Finally, they reached the core chamber. A massive artifact hovered at the center, glowing with alien energy. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, responding to their presence. Alex's eyes widened. "This is what powers their fleet," he whispered. "We disable this, and we cripple them." Rin stepped forward cautiously, her hand hovering near the control interface. "We can't just touch it," she said. "It could kill us instantly." Alex examined the energy patterns. "We don't have to touch it directly. We can reroute its power using human tech, improvising a disruption pulse." Rin raised an eyebrow. "Improvisation! You humans love it, don't you?" "We survive with it," Alex said, voice steady. "Watch me." He pulled out a small, portable energy manipulator he had constructed, its wires and circuits humming. Carefully, he connected it to a nearby energy conduit, bypassing security nodes and rerouting the alien energy. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the artifact pulsed violently. Rin's rifle remained ready, eyes scanning for threats.
"It's unstable," she warned. "One wrong move. I know," Alex said, pressing a final sequence.
The artifact shuddered, a high-pitched hum filling the chamber. Then, with a flash of light, it powered down. Its energy dispersed harmlessly through the ship's conduits. For a moment, silence. Then, alarms began again. Alien reinforcements were arriving, faster and deadlier than before. "We need to move," Rin shouted, taking the lead as the corridors became a gauntlet of enemies. Alex followed, improvising traps and hacking panels to slow the alien advance. Each doorway he sealed forced enemies to retreat, giving them precious seconds. Rin moved with lethal precision, taking down threats that even Alex's devices couldn't stop. Yet when she faltered, Alex was there, stabilizing her, rerouting her armor's energy, and giving her the edge she needed. Their movements became synchronized, a silent dance of survival. At one point, Rin was nearly cornered by 2 sentries. Alex's quick thinking activated a gravity pulse from the floor, sending them spinning and giving her the opening to strike. She caught her breath, glaring at him.
"You're crazy," she said, half laughing. "Practical," Alex corrected, breathless but smiling.
Finally, they reached an emergency exit. The ship shuddered violently as systems began collapsing due to the disabled artifact. Alex calculated their jump trajectory, inputting the coordinates into their craft's navigation system. Rin strapped herself in, armor clanking as she secured the harness. "You ready?" Alex asked, glancing at her. She didn't answer immediately. Then she nodded, eyes cold but focused. "Let's go." The craft blasted out of the alien ship just as it began to implode, energy pulses tearing the hull apart.
Alex gritted his teeth, guiding them through the debris field, while Rin kept a vigilant eye on incoming scouts. They emerged into open space, battered but alive.
The desolate planet below looked peaceful from orbit, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped. Rin exhaled sharply, loosening her grip on the controls. "We made it," she said quietly. Alex allowed himself a small smile. Humans survive. Always. For a long moment, they floated in silence, catching their breath. Rin's armor hummed softly, systems recalibrating. Alex glanced at her, noticing the fatigue in her eyes, the subtle relief, and the trust that had grown between them.
"You didn't have to touch me back there," Rin said finally, voice low. "But
you did. And I noticed. Sometimes, even small touches can make a difference. Humans are fragile. But we connect. We rely on each other. That's how we survive." Rin didn't reply immediately. Instead, she looked out at the stars, her expression thoughtful. "I hate that I trust you," she admitted softly. "I hate that I had to rely on you." "You don't have to like it," Alex said gently. "Just accept it. and accept that humans thrive when we work together." Her lips pressed into a thin line, then curved slightly in a rare, almost hidden smile.
"But don't think this makes us friends,"
Alex chuckled softly. "I wouldn't dream of it, but it does make us survivors." As they set course back to the colony, the desolate planet shrinking behind them, both of them knew the fight was far from over. The alien fleet was still out there, powerful and relentless. But humans, clever, resourceful, and stubborn humans, had once again proven they could adapt, improvise, and survive against impossible odds. And in the quiet moments between pulse beams and flashing alarms, between life and death, Alex and Rin had formed a connection neither could easily explain. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't romance. It was something more elemental: trust, respect, and the recognition that humans thrived because they refused to be predictable, fragile, or alone. The stars stretched out before them, infinite and cold, yet full of possibilities, and for Alex and Rin, the next battle awaited. But they were ready. Humans always were. The colony's defensive walls gleamed faintly under the twin moons, patched together with metal, energy shields, and human ingenuity. Smoke still lingered from previous raids, but the survivors moved with determination. Alex Mercer and Rin Tal stood on the command balcony, overlooking the preparations for the decisive strike. The alien fleet hovered above the planet, a dark, pulsing shadow that promised devastation. Rin adjusted her armor, flexing her shoulders and testing her weapons. She was quiet now, thoughtful. The events aboard the alien command ship had left their mark on both of them. She had seen the edge of death, and she had survived, not alone, but with Alex. Trust, unspoken yet undeniable, had grown between them, and she felt it now as a silent weight in her chest. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She glanced at him, her dark eyes guarded but not hostile. "I'm fine," she said. "Are you ready for this?" He nodded. Humans thrive under impossible odds. We adapt, we improvise, and we survive.
"That's why we're still standing."
Rin's lips pressed together, a small acknowledgement that his words were true. She had seen it with her own eyes. Humans might be physically weaker than the alien forces, but they were unpredictable, resourceful, and stubborn to a fault. That was their strength. The command center buzzed with activity. Engineers worked furiously to reinforce armor and weapons, while strategists mapped out attack plans. Scouts relayed information about alien patrols, and Alex moved among them, adjusting circuits, hacking alien devices, and preparing traps. His hands were steady, his mind sharp, and his confidence infectious. Rin moved among the soldiers, offering guidance, adjusting tactics, and silently commanding respect. She was the spearhead of the operation, and yet, for the first time, she allowed herself to rely on someone else. On Alex. When the hour arrived, they stood together at the edge of the colony, facing the incoming alien ships. The fleet was enormous, dozens of vessels bristling with weapons, but Alex and Rin's forces were ready. Humans had rid traps, recalibrated energy shields, and prepared their weapons to exploit any weakness in the alien designs. "Remember," Alex said, voice calm but firm, "humans survive because we think differently. Don't just fight them. Outthink them. Use the environment. Use each other. And above all, never underestimate yourselves." Rin's eyes met his, and for the first time, she didn't look away. "I trust you," she said softly, almost a whisper. Alex didn't answer. He only nodded, the unspoken bond between them stronger than words. The alien ships descended, energy beams slicing through the atmosphere, and the battle began. Humans surged forward, small but coordinated, moving unpredictably through the ruins of the colony. Alex activated a series of traps he had set in advance, causing several alien ships to crash into debris fields. Rin led the ground assault, her rifle flaring, taking out targets with precision and speed. One alien warship broke through the defenses, its energy pulse blasting a section of the wall. Rin moved to intercept, her armor absorbing the brunt of the attack. Alex joined her, rerouting her armor energy and stabilizing the structure. Together, they fought back, side by side, the synergy between them undeniable. Amidst the chaos, a massive alien sentinel emerged, towering over the battlefield, its energy claws carved through metal and earth alike. Soldiers scattered, fear in their eyes, but Rin didn't falter. She stood her ground, scanning for weak points, while Alex analyzed the sentinel's energy patterns. Human ingenuity, he muttered, almost to himself, is still faster than brute power. Using a combination of makeshift explosives and precision strikes, they created an opening. Rin darted in, her movements fluid and deadly, striking at the sentinel's joints, while Alex hacked nearby energy nodes, causing the machine to destabilize. With a final coordinated effort, the sentinel collapsed, sparks and smoke filling the air. The soldiers cheered, but the battle wasn't over. More alien ships emerged, faster and smarter. The sky was filled with streaks of energy, explosions, and debris. Humans moved unpredictably, using guerrilla tactics, clever traps, and daring maneuvers. Alex's devices disrupted alien communications, while Rin coordinated strikes, leading the colony's defense with skill and courage.
During a particularly intense moment, Rin found herself pinned under a fallen energy shield. An alien drone aimed directly at her.
Alex saw it instantly. Without hesitation, he dove forward, pushing her out of harm's way and absorbing the blast through a temporary energy barrier he had rigged. Rin's armor glowed, systems recalibrating. But she was unharmed. "You reckless fool," she said, half laughing despite the chaos. "Practical," Alex replied, dusting himself off. "Humans survive because we take risks, calculated risks." The battle raged on, but slowly, humans gained the upper hand. Their unpredictability, ingenuity, and coordination allowed them to outmaneuver superior alien forces. Alien ships crashed, sentries were disabled, and the tide began to turn. Finally, they faced the alien command ship once more. With the artifact disabled, it was vulnerable. Alex guided a squadron of human fighters, exploiting weak points in its hull, while Rin led the ground assault, striking at energy conduits exposed by the earlier attack. Explosions rocked the ship, its systems failing, one by one. Rin and Alex moved through the chaos, their bond evident in every coordinated maneuver, every glance, and every unspoken decision. They were alive because they trusted each other, because humans thrived under pressure, because they refused to be predictable. At the climax, the command ship erupted in a massive explosion, lighting the sky with energy pulses. Humans watched from the ground as the alien fleet scattered in disarray. The colony had survived. They had won, not because of superior strength, but because of cunning, courage, and unity. Rin turned to Alex, her expression softening for the first time in days.
"You were right," she said quietly. "Humans do survive."
Against all odds, Alex smiled, his chest still racing from the battle.
We always do. That's what makes us human.
She glanced at him, hesitation in her eyes. Then she took a step closer, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. "And don't pretend that touch meant nothing," she said, echoing the words she had spoken long ago, now with truth and acknowledgement. "It didn't," he said simply. The moment passed, but the bond between them remained. It wasn't just survival anymore. It was trust, respect, and a connection forged in fire and danger. Humans had proven, once again, that no matter how advanced or threatening the enemy, ingenuity, courage, and collaboration would prevail. As dawn broke over the colony, survivors emerged from shelters, tending to the wounded, rebuilding walls, and salvaging supplies. Laughter and relief mixed with exhaustion, a testament to human resilience. Rin and Alex walked side by side through the recovering colony. The air still smelled of smoke and metal, but it was filled with hope. "We survived," Rin said, more to herself than him.
"Yes," Alex replied.
"And we'll keep surviving. That's what humans do. That's who we are." For the first time, Rin didn't resist his presence. She allowed herself to move closer, the unspoken acknowledgement between them stronger than ever. They had faced death, chaos, and impossibility, and humans had triumphed.
The alien threat was not gone.
But the colony had endured, and in the stars above, humans remained unpredictable, resourceful, and alive. The future was uncertain, but one truth remained clear. Humans could survive anything. They could fight, adapt, and thrive where others might fall. And sometimes, survival meant more than just avoiding death. It meant forging bonds, trusting each other, and proving that humanity's spirit was stronger than any enemy. Rin looked at Alex, and he looked back. No words were needed. They had fought together, survived together, and now, in the quiet aftermath of victory, they understood something deeper. Humans were not fragile. Humans were unstoppable when they worked together, when they trusted, and when they refused to be predictable. The colony buzzed with renewed energy as humans rebuilt. Children laughed in the streets, soldiers prepared for the next patrol, and engineers, like Alex, worked tirelessly to strengthen defenses. Life continued, fragile yet resilient, because humans survived. And Rin Tall, elite soldier and survivor, walked beside Alex Mercer, realizing that even the strongest humans sometimes needed someone at their side. It wasn't weakness, it was strategy, it was trust, and it was humanity. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting gold across the battered colony, Rin finally allowed herself a small, genuine smile. "We're human," she said softly, "and humans don't give up." "Exactly. And that means we'll always find a way." Together they looked at the stars, knowing that the galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But so were humans. And as long as humans had ingenuity, courage, and each other, they would survive. Always.